What's happening, guys? Welcome back to Vertical Football. Welcome back to another episode of the Manchester United Fans Corner. I'm your host, Shegu. And guys, it's Monday, and as usual, we discuss Manchester United. So guys, we have a lot of talking points today. A lot of talking points. This is going to be a very deep and intensive analysis. And it's going to be focused all around Ruben Amorim's recent statements about playing a perfect 3-4-3 system. A perfect 3-4-3 system. And that statement was made in the press conference ahead of the Newcastle game. And I know we saw a little bit of tactical switch for the first half of that Newcastle game. But my focus today, because I know that, yes, people are already talking about he abandoning his philosophy, going back to a back four. You know, people are saying he's just trying to do it because of the injuries. His preferred players that can fit into a 3-4-3 system he has been using in AFCON. They are injured. He's trying to adapt to deficiencies of the squad. You know, so there are a lot of discussions, and I feel that for me, it's too early to make a conclusion on what is going on because it's not the perfect condition, right? So I think what we'll just have to do is to wait and see how it progresses, right? So let's see how the team progresses. Let's see what it does when the likes of Ahmad, Mbeumo are back. I think that will show us a clear picture of the direction we are going as a club. Because anything he does currently, in my opinion, can be interpreted in various ways. Some will say it's because of the injuries. Some will say it was just specific to the Newcastle game because of the likes of Gordon and and Lewis Hall. Some would say, oh, he's just trying to, find a way because he doesn't have the legs in the midfield. He's trying to find a way of doubling up there. The likes of Bruno is not around. Some will say Ahmad and Mbeumo are not around. So there are a lot of things that you can actually say that will not actually allow us to have a clear and distinctive analysis on whether he's going to come back to a basic structure of a 4 at the back, or he maintains his basic structure of a 3-4-3 and then beats from there. But I think what I can say concerning that is what I've always said for months, ever since he joined the club, Amorim, is the fact that for me, and I think for anybody that understands football tactics, at least I try to understand it a little bit, is the fact that your basic structure doesn't matter much. It's what you do on the ball and off the ball that matters, right? So we can only look at the analysis of what he does on the ball and off the ball. And I think this season, we've seen, last game we saw on the ball, we saw how that he played with a back four. This season also, I think we've seen games against Aston Villa. We've seen even against Bournemouth. We've seen even far ahead, even against Burnley, against Sunderland. We saw the fact that, they were off the ball. It was a 4-4-2 system. We've seen a lot of structure. We've even seen situations where it was in a 4-5-1, a 5-4-1 off the ball and the like. So there have been a lot of tweaks. And I think even players like the likes of Amad Diallo said they've been asked to play different formations with the manager. And even Eddie Neville also said in the press conference that the manager asked us to play in different formations. So we can't really say the way going forward now until everybody's back. Perfect condition. Abi, let's now see what he does in that perfect condition. Then we can now do an extensive analysis of his journey up to where he is when everything is back, right? So let's go into today. And today's analysis is going to be about the statement he made. So let me quickly read through the statement he made about the 3-4-3, perfect 3-4-3 system. And then we can just analyze that and see what is he saying. Does it make sense? And what are the kind of players is he talking about that he needs? And why is it that it's going to take a lot of money to get those players or a lot of time? So let's look at this. So this is Ruben Amorim saying, he said, we can play a different way to take more quality from these players. That's the players in the squad currently. He said, because I have the feeling that if we have to play a perfect 3-4-3 system, we will need to spend a lot of money and we need time. I am starting to understand that it's not going to happen, so maybe I have to adapt. He also, so that's another thing he also mentioned in Sky Sport. But this is what he said. Now, perfect 3-4 system, we have to spend a lot of money and we need time. I think right from the beginning when Ruben Amorim came on board, and right from the moment where he decided to stick with his 3-4-3 system, I think one of the things that was clear, at least to me, is the fact that you have to buy players for the system. We don't have players for the system. And I think that's what we have analyzed a lot of times here. You can go and check our videos, and people that have been following us for a long time understand this, that we've always mentioned about profiles, right? That we don't have the profiles, to play the 3-4-3 system. And I think right from the beginning, and that's one of the things I was also saying about the board, I was like, at a point, I did a content where I said, don't blame Amorim for not changing. Blame the board for going for a manager that they know is playing a particular kind of formation. And they communicated. And I think maybe when they communicated, they all agreed they were going to play that system, right? And I think at that moment also, they've agreed also, either directly or indirectly, that they will buy players to fit that system. Because when I read this statement, I'm not reading this statement, and maybe it's my own view. I'm not saying this statement from an issue of maybe tactical issue. Why is saying a perfect 3-4-3 system, it needs time, I'm seeing it from a financial issue. That maybe the time frame that the board has given him, this is my own view, to get him all that he needs to take the 3-4-3 system, will take number of years. Because obviously, look at the result of United currently with this price cut and everything. It doesn't look as if we are going to ever be like a Chelsea that goes in 2 windows and gets everything we need to play a system, right? So that one, there are questions to ask about the board, which I've been asking since, in the sense of, do you actually know what you were asking for in bringing a manager that wants to play Saturday as a basic formation? Because obviously, in my own place now, I have over like 10 profiles that I've written months ago, but I was looking for the perfect time to shoot this content. But now I can actually shoot the content because that's like the main discussion now. So I think it's nice to do it now. I've listed over 10 profiles that I think this team needs. And whenever we get the profile, I go to my local board and I tick them. So for me, I'll show you what I have ticked so far and what remains. So it's a question of, is it that there's not enough money to get this profile to the next 2 transfer windows? That's January and the summer. Is it that they've told him that they see, come, we have to take his time after time. Maybe your budget every summer is 200 million. And maybe the players you're asking for, we need to spend maybe $1 billion to get these profiles. I say, guy, build it after some, make use of the ones that are there, and we'll keep upgrading it till a point to come in the future. Because in that statement, he used a lot of in the future. When you watch the interview, you will reach the moment where you can apply your perfect 3-4-3 system. And maybe, because when you look at Ruben Amorim also in Sporting, I think we saw the huge amount of turnovers of players he made in the first 3 transfer windows, right? Or 2 transfer windows in Sporting. So maybe Sporting were in a position where the kind of quality of players they were looking for, they were able to quickly turn over the number of players who fit that system. But United is not looking like we are able to turn over from that system. It's not looking like we're able to turn over quickly enough to, what they call it, to get him exactly what he calls or what he refers to as a perfect 3-4-3 system. Now, let's now also look into the profiles. Now, let's look at the profiles. Now, it says a perfect 3-4-3 system. And for me, the way I view it definitely is my own view. And you guys can also comment about whether you don't see that way or not. Let's have that discussion. But a perfect 3-4-3 system doesn't mean it's not going to play 3-4-3 system. But what it means is that it's not going to be the perfect idea he has in his mind. And when you look at the context of the question that brought up to this statement, that's the feeling I got. That he says a perfect 3-4-3 system doesn't mean he's not going to play 3-4-3 at all. Yeah, definitely. As I've said earlier in games, there have been tweaks off the ball on the ball. But that there's a particular idea that he has in his mind, that's Ruben Amorim, that he refers to as a perfect 3-4-3 system. 3-4-3 system. And that's what we want to prove. What does a perfect 3-4-3 system means to Ruben Amorim? What are the profiles that constitute a perfect 3-4-3 system? That's our own job today. Let's now jump right into it. So there are profiles that Ruben Amorim needs in his perfect 3-4-3 system. I think first and foremost, I've talked about the fact of the spine of the team, the goalkeeper, defender, midfielders, the inside forward, and the striker. And I explained to us months ago how that he has gone about getting the spine, but he has not gotten midfielders, right? The central midfielders. And how that he has had to make do with, Bruno Fernandes in that position, where some people have argued maybe Bruno could have been higher up and the like. So that discussion ensued for months. But now, let's look at what entails in his perfect 3-4-3 system. The first profile that entails in his perfect 3-4-3 system is a right inside forward. A right inside forward that is a winger. That's one of the profiles that you need. So what it means is a right inside forward that is not just a winger, right? But it's a right inside forward that is a left footer. Number one profile that Ruben Amorim needs to get a perfect 3-4-3 system in his book is a right winger playing as a right number 10, right? Or right inside forward that is a left footer. And the major quality in that kind of person's game is the fact that the person has the ability to play out wide. So right number 10, left footer that can play out wide. That's the first profile. Now, he was able to get that profile in Bruno Fernandes. But that side, he has issues. And I mentioned it many times that another profile he needs, which is the second profile he needs in that position, based on the games we have seen, is also a right inside forward that is a left footer that can play inside the hole. If you remember, that's why I said that Mbeumo struggles playing from inside outside, because Mbeumo's perfect game is outside inside. And that's why I said, for example, the likes of Shelesi, that's how we did the episode on Shelesi, that Shelesi might be very good as a right inside forward, a left-footed right inside forward, right, that can operate in the hole. Can you see how the picture is coming about? So I believe that a perfect 3-4-3 system in that side might just mean the progress of also Shelesi to fit in that role. So Mbeumo is the right inside forward that can do it wide, but Mbeumo struggles inside, right? Because he needs to come from outside inside. But Shelesi might just be the one to be in that hole. Now let's move on. The second one is the second side. The second profile we're looking for now in that perfect 3-4-3 system, a 3-4-3 system, is the left inside forward. The left inside forward, the first profile that was needed was a right-footed player, or a coach, maybe a winger or a number 10. A number 10 now that can play that left inside forward, a right-footed person that can play that number 10 on the left, but the person moves inward. So as this moves outward, this moves inward. As the right number 10 moves outward, this moves inward, right? Now, the person he got there was Matheus Cunha. Matheus Cunha's best profile is what? Ability to play as a number 10, as a left number 10, but moves inside. That's his role. Now, the deficiency in that side that doesn't make it a perfect 3-4-3 system, 3-4-3 system. Now, I hope I'm saying that right. 3-4-3 system is the fact that in that role, he needs a left-sided number 10, a left-sided inside forward now, that is a right footer, but also plays it out wide. Someone that is a winger, that is comfortable hugging the line. I felt that Garnacho should have actually been the person to do that because of the use of the dynamics, right? Garnacho should have been able to do that, but we all know how it worked out for Garnacho and how that character issues and and the issues happened and everything didn't go well. But it shows us that in the two number 10 roles, he needs people that can play inside. He has gotten one on the left that can play inside, but he hasn't gotten the other one on the right that can play inside. And maybe Shelesi will be the bad person. But another thing about the system is also he needs someone that can play out wide as a number 10 that can play out wide. But you can see that we don't have anybody there, right? And I will explain further. But on the other side, we have Mbeumo, who is more confident there, right? But Mbeumo has been asked to do some jobs inside that he's struggling with. Now, let's move on. The next profile needed in that perfect 3-4-3 system was the striker, obviously, someone that is physical, that can do link up and node up. And we explained that many times, and I think Sesko can do that. Even if you see the last game against Newcastle, he was doing that. Even though we know that, yes, the final end product for Sesko is not there, but every other thing he's doing, in terms of hold up, link up, is working. And you can also see in that last game against Newcastle, because of how physical Newcastle are, you saw that the moment Sesko was removed and Zexi was brought in, we suffered. I think I did analysis. Because why? We cannot, hold up and link up. Because Zexi couldn't win the balls against those big guys. Right? He couldn't win the ball against those big guys. So now, that's the striker. That's the fifth profile now. I mentioned 5 now. 2 number 10s, 1 inside, 1 outside. 1 inside, 1 outside on the right. That's 4. And I mentioned the striker. Let's move on. I hope we are enjoying ourselves. Let's move on. Now, the next profile he needs in this system is, and I said it, we need a progressive central back. CCB. I said it months ago, and I was like, who are we going to get? And sometimes you see the variation in the way he plays. Because when I've studied his game at Sporting Lisbon, that's Amorim, you see that sometimes they have right-footed CCB, but you also use a left-footed CCB. And the left-footed CCB or right CCB, they must be progressive. People that can move in, slot into midfield, create a back four when they slot into midfield, do whatever they want in that center, right? And sometimes they can come back creating a back five, linear movement, as we did the analysis. Now, we can also see now that Eden Heaven has proven to be accurate in fulfilling that role of a left CCB. That profile. The day it happened, when I saw Eden Heaven play his second game in that role, I went back, I said, tick. LCCB gotten. So for a perfect system, it needs a RCCB, a right-footed central back. Matthias De Ligt is that person. Maguire can do that job. But now he has gotten a left CCB, and that profile needed in terms of Eden Heaven. So let's go into other profiles that he might have gotten, right? Because we are mentioning ones that he has gotten and ones he has not gotten. Now, another profile he needs is in the fact of having defenders, right? Defenders that can play RCB and LCB. But not just having RCB and LCB as defenders, you can also have left back that can be converted to LCB and right back that can be converted to RCB. So it's not as if it's just like whoever we have, it's a system to it. Now, what it means is the LCB normally as a defender is Lisandro Martinez. But the LCB that is an LB, that can also play that LCB is Luke Shaw. Now, and let me also mention the other side, then I'll explain why. Now, the RCB that is a defender is Lenioro. But the RCB that can also play as a RB is Nusel Mazaraoui. There's a reason why. Because when you are playing against dominant teams, right? You are beginning to be dominant. Your wing back automatically becomes a winger. I explained that many times. And you can see sometimes when we are playing against a very low block team, which I've said many times, that the right wing back becomes a right winger, the left wing back becomes a left winger. They stretch the defensive line up there, right? They stretch that opponent defensive line because it's a low block system, right? Or maybe when you're dominating and pushing them back, you do that. Now, what you need is, you don't need just defenders. You need people that can cover the spaces that have been left by the left wing back and the right wing back, right? And you want them to also be very, very fast in these spaces so that they don't get beaten. And you can see Nusel Mazaraoui's absence against Aston Villa, it showed because Lenioro was caught on the wing with Morgan Rogers and he dealt with us there. So you want something that, when those guys push up, the wing backs push up, become wingers, right? Playing high up. You want a Luke Shaw that is comfortable as a left B to cover that side. You want a Mazaraoui as a right B that side. So those profiles have been gotten. But it's the fact that, against Aston Villa, Mazaraoui wasn't around and Lenioro actually suffered. And he will continue to suffer there because he doesn't have the pace. Even when he first came, I think there was Southampton games, this Kamaldeen or Kamaldeen, one guy in Southampton, I think, that got him on that side and showed him a big lesson. So we know that deficiency is in his game. The activeness and the proactiveness down the channels, he will suffer. And that's why you need a RCB that can also play as a right back to stretch the defense in those kind of cases, right? So now let's move on. Another level of the profiles, I've mentioned profiles now, I can't even count now. I've mentioned up to like 7 or 8 profiles. So let's say 7 profiles now that are needed. The next profile that are needed is the 2 high energetic midfielders. We've analyzed this one a lot. One as a screen, the other as a high intensity bombarding midfield. And not just that, we've also said that a time will come, depending on how the midfielders are, that a time where you need 2 high energy. And we've seen it against the likes of Brighton, where Bruno and Casemiro were asked to do that high energy pressing. But you need your CCB to cover behind them as a single pivot, right? So that's why you see me, because of that 2 high energy midfielders, that's why I've said, if you're going to get anybody, get Baleba and Elliot Anderson to push. Now, those two high energy midfielders, right? That's the profile. Now, another profile that this team needs in the wing backs, now we've done the inside forward, the wing backs, is the fact that whenever, that's the next profile now of that perfect 3-4-3 system, whenever you have an inside forward that is stretching, that can play from the wide like a Bruno Fernandes, confident, playing out wide. You need, for that balance in that side, either the left or the right, for that balance to occur, you need a wing back that is comfortable playing inside. Right? So it doesn't make sense to have an inside forward that is out wide and a wing back that is also out wide. They'll be clashing. And that's what happened between Dogu and Garnacho, if you remember. That was last season, where Dogu wants to do wide, Garnacho also wants to do it wide. They were clashing there. There was no combination. The right dynamics is, if the inside forward is going to be out wide, the wing back should have the capacity to move in. On the left, if the wing back is a Matheus Cunha that is allowed to move in, the left wing back must be someone that is comfortable moving out wide. That's what I analyzed when I analyzed Yan Diomande. That I said, they're going to be a clash, because how is Cunha moving in, and Diomande will also want to move in. You need somebody that will be able to play it wide when Cunha moves in, right? Or the way you would do it if you want to get a Diomande is that maybe you would have gotten a Semenyo, right? Semenyo will play as the left inside forward, out wide, while a Diomande will play in. So what United doesn't have in that situation is that we have a special boy in Amad Diallo that can play out wide and inside. That guy is crucial to the system. If it's Mbeumo that is there, but Mbeumo is only limited to out wide, he struggles when he's been asked to talk in, right? But imagine if it was a Chelsea, maybe 1 year time, Chelsea has become more matured, and Chelsea is playing inside, as an inside forward, right? Inside. Amad can play out wide. In a time where you say, okay, let's use Mbeumo. Mbeumo can play out wide. Amad can benefit of him because Amad is special, can do the inside and the outside stuff there. But we have a Dogu, it's only wide. He can't do the inside. We have a Dalot that tries in some game to tuck in the other side, but obviously Dalot is also good out wide. A lot of times, sometimes you use the right-footed person there. So what we need in the system is that for the wing-back situation, and that's why you see him clamoring that we need an Amad Diallo at the other side. What he's talking about is a player that can both play outside and inside, that is as special as Diallo. But that player is very difficult to get. That player obviously cannot be Semenyo, because I said Semenyo cannot play wing back for United. He doesn't have the qualities defensively, and he has qualities that you don't want to kill by putting him as a wing back in this our current level, where we can't see all the ball and we still have to do a lot of back and forth defending, right? But we're still looking for that profile. We've analyzed players on that side, but we're looking for the right person that can be that right-footed player like Diallo on the right, that can do it inside and outside and offer that variability. Or if you don't get that kind of person, what that would just mean is that maybe you get somebody, that will just be able to play inside. And what you must get somebody that can play outside. That balance, a winger an inside forward that can play outside, while you use someone that can play inside. So these are the dynamics. These are the dynamics of the system. And I get his point, because I mentioned up to like 10 profiles, at least 10 profiles that are needed in this squad. And I've told you the ones we don't have, right? We don't have the left number 10 that can play out wide. We don't have that. We don't have a wing back that can be a winger that can play out wide or inside. We don't have. And if we don't get, what they call it, let's say we need one more player there. That's 1 and 1 there, right? We need a left inside forward or a right inside forward that can play inside. If Chelsea doesn't develop fast enough, maybe you will need another person there. That's 3. You need 2 midfielders, right? 2 midfielders in that squad. That's 5 players. And then lastly, as the team progresses, this one is one that after I did the analysis, I said we need. And that's why I advocated for Ao Tanaka. We need somebody that is a midfielder that is also good in the pockets. Because when you have high energetic midfielders, what it means is that they are good with space in front. Right? Baleba, Anderson, they like to run into space or they can move into space. But a time will come as you progress, if you have been that dominant team, people will do low block against you. Right? And when your wing backs have turned to wingers and they are stretching the defense, and everybody is deep, the teams are playing deep, playing 5 at the back or 4 at the back, trying to defend against you. You need a midfielder that is good in the pockets, that can actually do 1 or 2 in the pockets. We don't have that kind of person now. Someone that is a master in those tight spaces in front of the box 18. Right? We've seen some dynamics of Messi Mount and Bruno Fernandes, but it's not up to that level yet. It's not up to that level yet. Bruno helps us a lot there, but it's not up to that level yet. Messi Mount helps us a lot there, but it's not up to that level yet. That's why I said we need an Ao Tanaka. I've seen qualities in that guy that we can make him to be that midfielder. And that's why you can see that episode we did where I said if I was United owner, I would get 3 midfielders. Baleba, Anderson, and Ao Tanaka. So this is just it's a topic I wanted to do. I was planning to do with a tactical board. And maybe I'll do that another episode with a tactical board, right? We are in the holiday season. I'll do that tactical board maybe before the new year or early into the new year. It's something that it's a picture that I've had for a very long time. And I keep seeing how the manager keeps pushing it. But now I think we can't conclude now if he's going to stick with this. Until when all the players are back, then we don't know if he's actually going to stick with it. But what is my own job here is to analyze. The day he decides to say, oh, I'm not doing 3-4-3 again, I'm not doing this thing. If that's what happens, we analyze. Okay, what are you doing currently? What's the off the ball, on the ball? And we analyze it. That's our job. So, but currently, this is what it means by a perfect 3-4-3 system. So, guys, thank you for sticking with us. I really enjoy. Honestly, let me say this because I know we're going to meet obviously one more time before the new year, and that's going to be after our game against Wolves. I hope we win that match. But I want to appreciate you guys' support this year. You guys have been amazing, really, really amazing to us. I want to say this before that Wolves game that you guys are the best. Really, you supported us so much. We have had a lot of followers this year. You guys send us messages, you comment. We really appreciate you, and we know that obviously because it's a business of ideas. We all obviously clash. I've clashed with a lot of people on our Friday lives. Some people are looking at me one eye, this guy, but it's obviously, a clash of ideas. And sometimes even in those arguments that we have online or in comment section or trying to argue with ourselves, even in the studio here, it's all to stretch ourselves to the end of our points. And from there we learn. That's one of the beauty about this life where you can stretch your opponent in quotes in the argument to the end of their own argument, and then you see whether they say something that actually makes sense. So make I take on this way. You understand? So I think that's one of the beauty of this kind of discussion, because if you say something and don't say okay, even though I don't agree with you, I don't say okay, I've not learned then. You have not learned, right? So we really like that. We like your support. We like the agreement and disagreement. We truly appreciate you. And really, if there's anything you want us to do in the new year to bring more life to this program, please just drop us in the comment section. Let me know. We will do a lot of things. I know there's a lot of things I know we should do. We should be doing more tactical analysis on the board. We are going to do that more and more in the new year. But let me just know what you want, because we are here to serve you. Anything you say is what we'll do. Anything you say, what we do. So thank you back for sticking with me. I remember almost Shegun. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. And most importantly, don't forget to share this goodness with your loved ones and fellow fans. Until I see you next time. Bye.